social stuff is very meaningful to them, and it definitely impacts their willingness to do things and interact with us. Females tend to be more dominant than males, so if a more dominant female is telling another whale what to do, that whale is going to listen to the dominant female over us. Orchid in that situation is one of the more dominant whales. So I'm not sure why she didn't want to interact very much, but it's okay. She had social stuff going on. This is Nakai and Orchid. Is somewhat of an unusual social grouping. So they clearly have some things to work out among. Sometimes that's what happens. It's life, and so we do what we can to positive socialization with the whales. And that wasn't negative. They're just communicating to each other and communicating to us. Do y'all have any questions about any of that?
Now she wants to fight.
Yeah, now she's like, oh, do you see this? Orchid's really funny. She's kind of she's slightly reserved, and she's very smart, like I mentioned. Sometimes you can just see it in her eyes that there's definitely... she's also a whale that as you walk around the area, you'll notice she's keeping an eye on you. So the other whales, for the most part, but to do. Orchid seems to know exactly where everyone is at any point in time. I'm not sure if they're going to try to call all the whales over or what they're doing. That we get about the whales quite often is, do they all get along? And for the most part they do. Husbandry behaviors, which is healthcare of the whales, and socialization, making sure that they can cohabitate together, are two priorities in our training. Okay. Again, they're very social animals, so sometimes they do get into little spats. They displace one another. They live in a very distinct social hierarchy, so dominant animals know I'm still more dominant than you. One of the ways that they can do this is by scratching each other with marks. If you see some scratches on the dolphins and the killer whales, that's what's happening. Usually the more subdominant animals will have more rake marks.
How many can you keep together at once? Because right now there's 5 of them.
Yeah. And we can pop all the gates and have all 10. We don't very often. I'll explain why in a moment. Not sure what they're doing, but it's something in the center here.
They're just so big.
These are snap her out. Yeah. We're done.
Yeah, you'll notice they go back to their trainers a lot faster than they swim away from them. We did have our... There's always killer whales live in a matriarchal society. There's usually one female that is the most dominant, even though females tend to...
Orchid and Nakai on slide out.
You're going to want to focus your attention to this area right here. They should be sliding. The matriarch of our pod, her name was Kasaka. She passed away almost 2 years ago now. So we don't put all 10 whales together without having an established matriarch. When she was around, we would pump all the gates almost on a weekly basis and let all the whales mingle amongst themselves as an entire pod. But until we have a solid established matriarch, make sure that there's a dominant female that can essentially control the pod if need be, if that makes sense.
How many hours a day do the trainers work with the... So that means the kika is mature the tail was
Most in the summertime can run until 10.
What's the kind of
Most of our shifts are from about 9 to 5:30.
So we are definitely in the off season.
Yes.
What is the off season from like November to?
It's really January and February. Around the holidays, we have a lot of stuff going on, and then when spring break hits, it's kind of
crazy.
yeah. Here comes the Kai right over here.
Oh, wow! Oh, Nakai.
The power.
Did you guys hear that exhale? I think that's one of the cooler things. They obviously breathe air. They're long.
Why are they shoveling? And the whale's loving it. They're shoveling water into his mouth.
It's Makani.
Rascal.
Yeah, he's like, oh. All the whales like playing in one shape, way or another. Makani, pretty much anything can be turned into a game. So some other whales might be like, why are you putting water in my mouth? I live in this. Clearly, you can hear him back there.
He's happy.
This is a really cool behavior from Orchid, and she, I believe, is the only whale that knows this behavior in our pod. She's going to do a small jump there on the left-hand side, and then point it to the center. She's going to spin. Here she comes.
The orchid woke up.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather have fish
So
tonight.
that's what we're.
She didn't want to listen to you.
Yeah, she is like, listen, I got stuff to handle.
You're giving me ice, they're giving me fish.
And then I think they're going to give you one final behavior of the waves above.
Bye-bye.
That was awesome.
Out. Any questions I can answer? Anything else?
So even though Sakura passed away like a while ago, there's still no like official or established.
We have her daughter Talia lives here and is much more dominant female. I don't think most of the staff is ready to say, yeah, I feel like she's got matriarch down. She's still a young whale, and she's that cool, and sometimes that interests her more than the rest of the pod. So it's kind of. Are your priorities there quite yet? Yeah, she still acts like a little kid.
How old is she?
13. She'll probably take over when she's ready to. But I think it's also kind of what we are thinking of as a matriarch, because we were so used to generations and generations of trainers coming through this area, so used to how Kusaka would own the pod. So we're kind of putting that expectation on another animal who might not do it the same way. So I feel like maybe to them she is the matriarch, and to us we're just not judging. Leah, Shuka, and Orchid, together those three own the universe. They're three dominant females that everyone's like, oh gosh, these three are in the pool together.
And what are the
Some things that we look for, wanting social control, which Kalia does seem to want, wanting to be near all the other whales, wanting to control what the other whales are whales together. If we see a desire from like Kalia, for example, to want to be a part of that big grouping, that's kind of exerting her social control, which is big. Each other, obviously, but that's also a way to establish dominance in their history, their biological history. That domination is something that you would look for, and it's also if them to be. I'm trying to think of a good example to give you. If we put her with Ulysses and Keat, two males, for example, are they going to end up chasing her around, or is she going to lay the law down and go, you go to this corner, you go to that corner, I'm doing what I want, which is what Kasaka would have done. So we're looking for those kinds of things. Did that answer it? we can go ahead and actually we can just head out this way. Thank you guys.